Salut! Nu vă văzusem dinainte de anul nou. If you have no idea what I just said, then you're in the perfect place. Because today we will study Mai Mult ca perfect. Văzusem is Mai Mult ca perfect. And today we're gonna go into a deep dive masterclass through all the Mai Mult ca perfect problems, really, and how to use it. As always, this is not just a grammar explanation, but it's full with tips, exercises and examples. So stick with us until the end, because you will find something that you don't get in normal grammar books. An extra tip, special for you, at the end of this video. But before then, don't forget that, as always, you don't only get this video as your grammar experience, but also the free PDF with all the goodies from this lesson, the answer key for these videos, exercises, and more bonus content. You can find it now in the description, the pinned comment, and on Patreon. If the first page on Patreon is confusing for you and you cannot find what you're looking for, head to the Collections tab and you can find the free PDFs. In addition, there are a whole lot of video exercises if you want to go to the next level in Romanian. And if after all that you still want clarification from a teacher, then you can join our live group classes or watch the recording by accessing the classes collection. So here we are, dear Romanian enthusiasts, with Mai Mult ca perfect, the third on our list of past tenses, and I think there's only one left to go, the perfect simplu, but there's no rush or priority on that one because, let's be honest, who the hell uses it anyway? So today, the last important tense in the past, Mai Mult ca perfect, with its very interesting descriptions here from other Latin languages, Pluperfect, or whatever other variations there are on Latin languages, and past perfect in English, because that's the closest you will get from English to past perfect. If you have no clue of what past perfect is, if you don't know any of this terminology, of these words in grammar language, check our Patreon, because we have very well explained PDFs where we talk about all of these weird grammatical terms that we go over and over and over and over in these videos, and probably you're so clueless about what they mean. So, past perfect, pronouns, conjugations, adjectives, adverbs, all of them, conjunctions, comparatives, all of this weird scientific terminology is explained in detail on Patreon, and you can find the PDFs in the grammar collection. I hope I remember well. So I hope you also enjoy my new escalidro design, and let's head into it. Past perfect in English, past perfect in English is stuff like I had finished work, where the past is have in past, so had, and perfect is this verb here, that's in perfect, where had is an auxiliary and finished is the actual verb. When you have arrived there, I had finished work. Another example, I had finished work, and I had finished work before you arrived there. With these three examples, I want you to see something. In the first one, you don't really get a lot of context, but if you look closely to the second and third on a timeline, this should be 3, when you arrive there, if you look on a timeline, when you arrived there, let's put this, you arrived there, here, I had finished work. So what this means in with an English brain is that I had finished work here, and you had, and you arrived here. And compared to now, both of those actions are in the past. Yeah. And when I had finished work is before the moment when you arrived. Very important.
very important because the you arriving is, as you can see here, a past simple in English, or it can be a perfect compus in Romanian. Am ajuns. Sorry, I ajuns. And I had finished work is this, the Mai Mult ca perfect, because it's even more than perfect if you take it literally. It's more than perfect. It's even past perfect. It's before an action in the past. This is the action in the past. This is the past perfect. It's always before it. And it's the same here. I had finished work. I had finished work before you arrived. So me finishing work is before you arrived. And this is the moment of now. If you don't know what past perfect is, well, I hope this explains it. Now let's go into the more interesting part of it and how to build it. The rules for how to build it are very, very straightforward. Actually, it's one of the most clear tenses out there in Romanian. If you know present tense or just infinitives whatsoever, if you know infinitives, that's perfect, because from the infinitives you can build the participle. Let me change the color because this is a bit blind. Maybe this. Yeah, maybe. No, all of them are terrible. Green? There you go. So if you know infinitives, you can build a participle. If you know the participle, you can build all of these. So, what does this mean in practice? By the way, if you heard a lot of weird SE endings in verbs in Romanian, one option is that you heard the Mai Mult ca perfect. Another option could be that you heard the perfect simple, but that's the next class in this season. And the se or sh or something like this are common as well in perfect simple, but that's for the next one. And it's less common than the amount of se you will see here. The se you will see. That could be a word play. But anyways, all of these have a se in them. So, depending on the conjugation, I hope you can see this. Right? So, depending on the conjugation, A, EA, E, I, and U, you'll get a different variation of the past perfect. The reason is because if you have watched already the 5-minute guide to perfect compus, which is in this season, link up here, you will notice there are very easy ways to build the past participle here, 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 and here, but not so much here. And obviously this extends to the Mai Mult ca perfect. So let's look at verbs with a. To say I had, I took some random examples here. So to fight and to work. So I had fought. I had fought. Yeah. Luptasem, luptaseș, luptase, luptaserăm, luptasereți, luptaseră. With EA, so from here you have from a, yeah, lucra. If that was not clear, by the way, you have lupta, luptat. So you take the lupta from here, and you add the se, sem, sesh, and so on to it. You will see why this is taking the participle and not actually the infinitive in a second. A vrea, vrut. You see it here, right? You see it. You see it. Exactly what I meant, yeah? It's not vresem, it's vrusem. Because it takes the participle. Vrusem. I don't know why this says vrut. This is văzut. So the participle of vedea is văzut. So guys, how would you say I had seen? Drop a comment. I'm curious if you had understood what I've been talking about so far. Let us know down below. Vrusem, vruseș, vruse, vruserăm, vruserăți, vruseră. Here the accent goes a bit more on the U. As always, with the accents and the stresses in Romanian, it's a bit of a gamble, isn't it? Next, the E, a aduce, since you have slightly different ways of conjugating stuff. Please excuse me for my little mistake here. I obviously forgot to add the E conjugation that builds the participle with ut. And obviously it will take the same rule from the EA. So since you have vrea, vrut, vedea, văzut, you also have E conjugation verbs that end in ut in participle, like făcea, a face, făcut, a ține, ținut. So a conjugation for ține, for example, ținusem, ținuseș, ținuse, ținuserăm, ținuserăți, ținuseră. That's how you build a past perfect out of that. And it respects the UT. Yeah. So this is basically a UT in participle. This is an AT in participle. This is an S in participle. This is a T in participle. E conjugation here, right? We have adusesem, aduseseș, adusese, aduseserăm, aduseserăți, and aduseseră. You keep the S wherever you have it. So for the S participle, you keep it in Mai Mult ca perfect. That's why sometimes you'll get these many SEs in a row. So sese, sese. Sounds very evil for some reason. Anyways, number 2 in E conjugation, the T. This is a bit of a stranger group of verbs with rupe, coace, things that are, I would say, less common, but with shorter participles. So rupt, copt. And here you get also a sesem. Rupsesem, rupseseș, rupsese, rupseseră, rupseserăți, rupseseră. This is a bit odd, right? But it's kind of in the same group here, the S and the T. You can see those are very, very, very similar. And then conjugation number 4 with I's and U's. So acoperi, this is the it participle. This is the ut participle. So acoperi. Acoperit, fugit, obișnuit. So here the accents go on the last vowel before the se ending. So acoperisem, acoperiseș, acoperise, acoperiserăm, acoperiserăți, acoperiseră. Coborâsem, coborâseș, coborâse, coborâserăm, coborâserăți, coborâseră. And we'll answer this question in a second. So coborâ, coborât, târâ, târât. Take the part before the T and you build the Mai Mult ca perfect. So what happens if it is reflexive? If you have, instead of a obișnui, a se obișnui. Any clue? Obviously nothing crazy will happen. You'll just get a reflexive pronoun in front and you'll build the past perfect exactly in the same way as you do with a normal verb. And then you put m or te and so on. Cool. You have a lot of irregular verbs, guys. Main ones, this, this, and this. Avea, it's, I would say, not so crazy. You just get an extra se. Obviously, this should be with a capital A, blah, 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 doesn't matter. And in the PDF, you'll have it corrected, don't worry. And fusesem, fuseseș, fusese, fuseseră, fuseserăți, fuseseră. So you see that a fi, usually every time you find it in anything else basically than present, you'll get this fus form. Yeah, fost, fui, fusesem. In imperfect, it's eram. That's kept from Latin. Very interesting. Dădusem, stătusem. Irregular verbs for mai mult ca perfect. Let's try to see when you use the past perfect. So, as we agreed already from the introduction, you use the past perfect when something happened before something in the past. So you remember the timeline. You have now, you have the action in the past, and then you have past perfect or mai mult ca perfect. And this is the timeline. This is the future. This is now, and so on. Yep. Awesome. So, in order to use or to express this, you might need some other keywords or adverbs. Înainte or până. Let's have a look at these use cases here. So, plecaserăm înainte să fi sunat. We had left before he or she or they had called. Actually, from this, which is, by the way, a conjunctive perfect, you cannot really tell who called, so you really need to go on the context and find out. Or sometimes you'll see a ca too, for example. But we'll talk more about this in the conjunctive perfect, in the conjunctive season. Then, for până ai terminat tu, deja eu trimisesem. So, până ai terminat tu, until you had finished here. Deja eu trimisesem. I had already sent it. So, it's somewhere, again, in the past. I had already sent it before you finished. So, I already had sent it to him or to her. Dacă venisei, de ce nu m-ai anunțat? If you had come, why did you not let me know? So obviously in this, the sequence would be you had come and then you let me know. Past perfect first and then the action here explained in perfect compus. If you're wondering basically, do Romanians use it? Yes, more than you think. Actually, I have been asked this question. I have thought about it very well. I have gone and listened to a lot of Romanian speaking. It's not as common as perfect compus. It's not as common as imperfect, but it is used. I would say in total, from this might be a very rough estimate, but out of like a normal daily speech using the past tenses in Romanian, Romanians probably use the perfect compus, the imperfect, and the mai mult ca perfect roughly about, this is gonna be crazy, but I would say perfect compus probably 70-75% of the time. The imperfect probably like 20, and then whatever is left, mai mult ca perfect, I would actually not go more than 5%. So something like this, something roughly like this. This can obviously variate. You will not really see perfect simplu unless, oh, you cannot see this, right? Here you go. So you cannot really see perfect simplu unless you're talking very specific instances, like talking about a book, describing what happened in a story, if you're from Oltenia, and so on. So, yeah. So something lit here that I really wanted to get to, and it's very, very important in my opinion. Because in English, if you're a native speaker or if you know English proficiently, you might be aware of this conditional. In English, you have the third conditional, which is using a past perfect, as you can see here. I would have loved being there if you hadn't told me already the surprise. I'm not gonna go into the whole grammar, but I want to let you know that in Romanian, this will not be a perfect compus. Mi-ar fi plăcut să fiu acolo, sau mi-ar fi plăcut să fiu acolo, I would have loved being there, dacă nu îmi spuneai deja surpriza. Spuneai, not past perfect, imperfect. Most commonly, you will be an imperfect here in Romanian. If you want to know more about this, join the class where we will talk in depth about this something extra. Very interesting how different languages have different opinions about conditional and also about the usage of these past tenses. Anyways, let's go into some exercises. I will leave the exercises here with you. You can find them in you have two exercises, 1 and 2. You can find them in the free PDF available on Patreon right now. And you can also find the solutions in the extra exercises. And also you can find extra exercises in the Prietenoși tier exercises sheet available for Prietenoși. And if obviously you want to do a bit more, we're waiting for you in the class available for Învățăcel tier patrons on the 17th of February. So if you want to give it a go now, you can pause the recording and try to give it a go. Fill in with the correct forms of the Pluperfect or the Mai Mult perfect, and also here. Now, if we want to do a quick recap, I want to let you know that Mai Mult perfect is important in the daily speech. It is an action that happened before an action in the past. It's built using the participle and adding this se ending. There are not that many irregular verbs. You should be aware that you need some keywords to express it. Sometimes Romanian would just bluntly say the Mai Mult perfect straight away, like unde fusesei? And where had you been? And you might think before what? But in that case, your best friend is context. You will notice from the context. But that's already like B2, C1 kind of talk. If you want to know more about the third conditional and how it's not using the past perfect in Romanian, let us know in the comments as well. And you can also join the class where we talk more about that. The exercises, you can find the exercises if you don't want to spend time right now in the free PDF on Patreon with the answers in the exercises PDF for Prietenoși. And I'll see you on the 17th of February on the Mai Mult perfect class, which will be available as a recording as well anytime on Patreon. I'll see you in the next one, which is gonna be business conversation here on YouTube. Până atunci, la revedere!